Hi everyone, so glad you could join me. I'm Mrs. Turkle, and today we're going to be learning about evaluating websites. We'll do some work together and then you'll get to practice with a partner. There are two goals I have for us today. By the time we finish our lesson, I want you to be able to look at a website and tell if it is a credible source for information. Credible is just a fancy word for believable or trustworthy. But why is Mrs. Turkle going to all this trouble to teach us about credible websites? Well, when you can't tell what is a credible source of information and what isn't, you might end up believing something that isn't true. Do you remember not too long ago when there were websites reporting that children had to repeat their grade because they missed so much school from coronavirus closures? It wasn't true, but some people believed it because they didn't check if the website was credible. I won't let that happen to you. Here we have the 5 W's we use to help us figure out if a website is credible. We will look at who. Think about who made the website and are they an expert? What? Think about what is this website's purpose? Is it for selling something, teaching others, or entertaining us? When? Think about, is the information recent? Old information may not be true anymore. Where? Think about, where does the information come from? Was it from a university, a museum, or from your cousin's dog walker's hairdresser? Why? Think about, why does this information help me? Next, we're going to practice using these 5 W's to investigate this web page right here. Let's look at it together first. At first, it looks pretty good to me. It looks professional. It has these tabs at the top to keep the information organized. It has some photographs. Let's go to another page. Here on the sightings page, you can see photographs of these creatures. Ooh. On the activities page, we see some ways to help the species by building nesting boxes or raising money for conservation. Wow, this website is really trying to help protect the tree octopus. Next, let's apply our 5 W's. I wonder what we'll find. Here we have a 5 W's questions list I made to help us investigate how credible this website is. Let's look at the who first. Our worksheet says, who created the website and are they an expert? Let's see where the website tells us about the author. There are 2 places I usually find that. On an About tab here at the top or down at the very bottom of the page. It's not here. Down at the bottom, we find the author's name is Lyle Zapato. When I click his name, it takes me to another page. This looks like Lyle Zapato's company page, Zapato Productions Intradimensional. What do you think that means? Let's scroll down the page and just look at the pictures. What do you think this page is about? It doesn't seem to me like Lyle Zapato is a wildlife researcher or a scientist that studies octopus. So this is less likely to be a credible source, but we won't know for sure until we look at all 5 W's. Let's go back to our tree octopus page. Next, let's look at the what. Our worksheet says, what does the author say is the purpose of the site? So when we look at our website, let's think about the author's purpose. Is it to entertain us, to inform, or to persuade? To start, let's just read the headings on the home page here. The Pacific Northwest tree octopus, why it's endangered, how you can help, more tree octopus information, and research on other tree octopus species. Okay, this makes me think the author's purpose is to inform. So this is more likely to be a credible source, but we won't know for sure until we look at all 5 W's. Up next is when. Our worksheet says, when was the site created? When was the site last updated? That's usually at the very bottom of each page. Let's look at the links page. Way down here, created in 2013 and updated in 2020. So it's been on the internet for a long time and it's still getting updated. This makes the site more likely to be credible, but again, we can't say for sure until we look at everything all together. Put that back in the center there. Up next is where. Hold on 1 second. There we go. Where does the information come from? This can be a tricky one to answer. Sometimes the About section will have answers, but we already looked there. Next, let's look for a frequently asked questions section, an FAQ, to see if it's explained there. See up here in the very top, in teeny letters? I wonder why it's up here in tiny print instead of on a tab. When we visit this page, there's our answer. This website is things the author has written, drawn, and discovered. Because we know he's not a scientist, this makes the site very unlikely to be credible. Up next is why. Our worksheet says, why is this information useful for my purpose? Well, that depends on your purpose. If it's to learn more about animals in the wild, this site is not very helpful. As I'm sure you figured out, the Pacific Northwest tree octopus isn't real. If you want a fun page to teach your students about looking carefully to see if a website is credible, then this website is perfect, and that's why I used it today. So, is this a credible source? How do you know? Next, it's your turn to practice evaluating websites. I've split you up into pairs, and each pair will look at 2 websites on the same subject. Work together to answer the questions, but use one worksheet for each website you evaluate. Pairs with purple worksheets will evaluate the websites in the purple box. Pairs with blue worksheets will evaluate pairs in the blue box. Pairs with green worksheets will evaluate the websites in the green box, and pairs with yellow worksheets will evaluate the websites in the yellow box. I'll be walking around to help you and answer any questions you have. While you're working, be thinking about how you know whether a website is credible. We'll spend the last 10 minutes of class talking about what you discovered and sharing your findings, and then you'll have time to fill out an exit slip before you go. Make sure your name is on your checklist and your exit slip before you turn them in. Thanks so much for learning with me today.